what it would be at $12?
I'd say bring it back as is, but then also bring us what it would be at $12,
Okay.
proportion reduction
Okay.
together. See what sort of impact that has.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Next on our agenda, water rating.
This also has gone through a public hearing, and I can take questions on this.
Could you give a brief staff report, please?
Sure. I can. Summary, the City Council last increased water rates effective January 1st, 2011. Due to projected inflation costs and expenditures, planned capital projects, and projected slowdown in revenues, it is necessary to raise the city water rates. The proposed resolution would make the rates effective March 1st, 2014.
And council questions? Council pleasure? Next on our agenda, sewer rates.
This one, the City Council last, it says water, this is my sewer. There we are. Too much paperwork. City Council last increased, it says water rates too. Sewer rates effective January 1st, 2011, due to the projected costs and expenditures, planned capital projects, and projected slowdowns in revenue, it is necessary to raise the city sewer rates. Also, along with that, Metro has increased, every year Metro has increased their charges to us. We don't facilitate our own sewer except for the transportation of it and pumping. So it's been an increase to us. It's in a deficit this year, I believe, already.
Council questions?
Something we can't ignore, we have lift stations where we have problems with all the time.
Council pleasure?
Moving forward.
Next on our agenda, Park Board, Transportation, and Earth Day, and Pacific Day.
No, I'm just here for support.
I thought our chair would want to present. I was hoping. Well, perhaps Kate can fill in if I miss any salient points here. The Park Board duties, as established, provide the Park Board shall perform other services and studies as may be requested by the council. That's really, I don't know why that's stated in there, but there have been two major events that the Park Board has participated in for years. The first one coming up in April to celebrate the national, or I guess it's International Earth Day now, which is officially on April 22nd. The Park Board is choosing the weekend of, or the day of Saturday the 26th to host their annual event. I believe this is the 5th year. Sixth year, possibly the
Let's see,
sixth year.
how cold.
I can get the
It's been here in the rain,
information
the
for you that
snow.
they have. Organizing an event which generally involves collecting trash and having a competition and freshening up parks around the city of Pacific. This year, the Park Board has decided to base their event on the Green Cities Campaign for Earth Day 2014. It's a national campaign which is focused on three key elements: buildings, energy, and transportation. There will be no trash pickup contest, although we will provide dumpsters for people to deposit both recycling and trash as a part of the event. It's planned to include an informational fair with vendor displays and a lunch and other activities to involve all members of the community. Still being hammered out. And as I said, it's scheduled for April 26th. what I have here is a resolution of the City of Pacific, Washington, approving the Park Board's participation in the 2014 Earth Day event, which is basically an updated version of last year's event, whereby the council approves the City of Pacific Park Board cooperating with other entities and organizations in the area to produce events honoring Earth Day. Sorry, I'm a little incoherent. It's been a long day.
Yeah, it's in there.
In the same spirit, perhaps a little clearer, Pacific Days has been held by the City of Pacific since at least 1999, because I have a file in one of my cabinets. Over recent years, it was spearheaded by Pacific Partnerships. It centers around Pacific City Park and involves a parade. We do have some things that have changed over time with the use of the park, the Pacific City Park, and we'll probably need to reevaluate just how much of the park will be available and maybe potentially other sites where we can have other events this year. But this ordinance that is attached is basically an update of last year's ordinance, which approves the Park Board's participation in the 2014 Pacific Days event. And if we go by tradition, it's the second full weekend in July, which would make it the 11th through the 13th. The 11th being beginning on a Friday night through Sunday.
Council question? Next up, replacement public works vehicle.
This was actually brought to Public Works Committee and Finance Committee, even though it doesn't say that. The current Public Works staff vehicle is a 1998 Chevy Astrovan. It's in very poor condition. Going to need an entire front end done to it. We originally were looking at getting a brand new vehicle, and after Public Works Committee and Finance, it was recommended we look at some used vehicles. And so we have been doing that. We haven't settled on one. The reason why is because I can't negotiate with the county until I know my dollar limit. They do have some minivans that they're surplusing. I'd like to get something that's 40,000 miles or less. Also, GSA has some vehicles that that I can deal with on them. But I do have to know what my dollar limit is before I can talk to anybody. Public Works hasn't received any kind of vehicle since 2007, so this is basically just kind of, and it will also be used for city staff to go to meetings and things like that.
From the finance side, we did talk about this at the finance committee meeting, and we asked what we thought the use would be, and when it was determined that the use limit would be very low mileage, that's where the recommendation for it is possibly used through either by picking something up through GSA or another government entity. And after discussing it with staff, I think we determined that that was a viable option for us.
Council discussion?
We might also get a hold of Jamie Bockel and Auburn Chevrolet. They have given us some awfully good pricing on used vehicles for the police department at least, so we just avenue that you could look at. I understand where Ken's coming from. It's pretty hard to go out and shop for something. You don't know what you got to spend.
If I recall correctly, the recommendation you're requesting is 15,000.
15,000, yeah.
And just for clarification, for many, there's a fund in Public Works for replacement equipment, vehicles, so it's not that's the fund that's dedicated for something like this, so it doesn't come out of the general fund, so if people are wondering why we didn't act on a police vehicle, but we may act on this, it's because it comes from a different fund.
Correct.
Any other council discussion? Council pleasure?
Move forward. You could donate the Astro van to Smash.
There you go.
Actually, Paula said she was interested.
In the vehicle. Would make a nice
Can I
planter.
make a suggestion, if you're looking for a used van, that you go on the internet. You can't beat the deals on the internet, and you can get warranties with the
Excuse me, point of
vans
order.
too.
Sir, I appreciate your comment, but we do not take comment from the audience
Oh,
at a
sorry, I
workshop.
was trying to help.
No problem. We'd be glad to talk to you outside the meeting,
No.
but thank you.
All right, temporary file clerk.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Very nice.
I gotta get myself.
Did I get these
I've
wrong?
been a
Yeah.
temporary file taker, that's how I started.
Due to staff shortage in several departments over the previous year or so, there's been a backlog of paperwork and filing that has accumulated, and it was talked about that we bring in a temporary clerk to support public works, the city clerk's office, and the finance department to get things caught up.
Council discussion?
I have one question on that, $10 an hour, does it help to try to bring in someone with a little more experience, or is this a decent entry-level type job?
If I could answer that. The person that we're looking at is basically a high school student that has been volunteering for the city and has been well vetted and very familiar. This is not a permanent type position, this is just temporary. And I guess I wanted to add too, I didn't see it got put in here, I did contact the union and got okay from the union that as long as it was 20 hours a week and not longer than 3 months, they would give us those lessons. So that was just to get caught up, and it's somebody that's already familiar. But I understand what you're saying.
I'm just wondering if $10 an hour was enough. If it's a job that requires someone with some experience to do, or if it's something that's relatively simple, you know, A plus B equals C, then, yeah, and we got an entry-level worker that can do it, and I'm okay with that price. But
It's my understanding, it's very basic. It's like, this needs to go here, this needs to go here. It's
very
nothing.
little training. That'll be-
Exactly.
Okay.
Just somebody's been able to take care of it and reduce the piles that are stacking up around different offices.
Well, as long as we got union clerks, I say move it on.
Just FYI, item H was removed.
And that gets us to interim zoning ordinance related to recreational and medical marijuana.